Morning. Welcome to the July 19th meeting of the Charter Authorizing Panel. I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everyone to the Arkansas Department of Education. I would ask at this time that you please silence all electronic devices. This panel oversees the authorization, renewal, revision, and revocation of charters. And it is our goal to facilitate a fair and responsible hearing. I'll ask that each person coming to the microphone please speak clearly into the microphone, state your name and title for the record. As you continue to talk, I'd ask you to continue to speak into the microphone for the benefit of this panel, as well as our viewing audience that is watching us today via live streaming. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and our court reporter, Ms. Tiffany Harrison, is here today to develop a transcript of this meeting, which will also be posted on the Arkansas Department of Ed website. So, good morning, and Ms. Alexander, Ms. Boyd, you're recognized to get us started this morning. I don't have a chair's report. Does anyone have a report? Then we'll start with you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just really quickly, well, if you guys can handle this quickly, I think we can take care of it right now. There are, we have 10 applications for open enrollment charter schools, which will be heard next month in August. Currently, we only have 2 dates for hearings on the August calendar, and so we would like to add a date so that only about 3 applications will be heard a day. In addition, we also will have some amendment requests, but they shouldn't be too long.
Is your recommendation, we have currently August 16th and 17th on the calendar. Mm-hmm. Is your recommendation to add Tuesday or Friday?
I don't have a recommendation. Either works for us. Whatever makes sense for the calendar.
Dr. Pfeffer?
I would recommend Tuesday be added.
August 15th?
Yes.
All in agreement?
Okay.
Okay, if you'll add August 15th.
Thank you.
And I'm assuming that day will start at 8:30 as well?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. On our consent agenda, we have the minutes from May 17th, if you've had a chance to look those over. If there's any discussion. If not, I'll accept a motion to approve.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
Motion has been made by Dr. Ivy Pfeffer, seconded by Stacy Smith to approve the minutes for May 17th, 2017. Any discussion? All those in favor? A little louder.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion pass. Okay, Ms. Perry, we're ready for action agenda item 1, request for open enrollment charter school amendment from KIPP Delta Public Schools.
Good morning. Virginia Perry, Program Director with the ADE's Charter Unit. The first item on the action agenda comes from KIPP Delta Public Schools. It's an amendment request, and on behalf of the school, we have Scott Shari, the Executive Director, here to speak today.
Ms. Davis, if you will give us our process.
Good morning, Jennifer Davis, staff attorney for the department. The procedures you're going to follow for both action items today will be that all persons wishing to provide any testimony to you will need to be sworn in, with the exception of attorneys. The applicant will have 20 minutes to make its presentation to you for amendment, followed collectively by 20 minutes for any opposition that there may be. The applicant will then have an additional 5 minutes to address any concerns or questions that arose. You can then ask any questions of the applicant, the department, or anyone who you feel may have the answers that you need, and you can take the matter under advisement or vote on it today. If you vote on it today, you do have a Google Doc that you can state your reasons for your vote. And just a reminder that because this is kind of considered a contract negotiation, anything that the applicant agrees to or states verbally that is different than what's in their presentation or their written materials does become part of any amendment that you may grant.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Davis. If all the representatives from KIPP Delta Public Schools would please stand, and anyone speaking in opposition, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Good morning, Mr. Shirey. You'll state your full name and title for the record. You may begin.
Scott Shirey, Executive Director, KIPP Delta Public Schools. And good morning, Chairman Kaufman and members of the board. I do have a PowerPoint, which I don't know if it's on the screen or up, or if people are able to see that. There we go. So you can see our requests are laid out there. Number one, to increase our enrollment cap in Blytheville from 810 students, that's across 9 grades, to 1,110 students starting in the 2018-2019 school year. Increase our grades served in Blytheville from 412 to K-12, starting in the 2018-19 school year. And we're going to ask for some flexibility on how we phase in. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then reconfigure KIPP Blytheville College Preparatory School to serve grades K-6 starting in the 2018-2019 school year. And I'll sort of go through all this and give the rationale, and hopefully you can get the vision, and we'll go from there. So right now in our Blytheville school system, this upcoming school year, we have a 4-6 campus and a 7-12 campus. So that's the reason in 2018-2019, we'd like to go to a K-6 7-12 model, and basically grow our elementary program to include those younger grades. Obviously, having 4-12, we want to make sure we have the complete system for our students and families, and having students at the lowest levels helps us complete that picture. Furthermore, we know high schools are expensive to run, more than elementary, so making sure we have the full model in place. You can see on the next slide, the one possible idea would be for next year, would be K1 in 2018-2019, K2 2019-2020, and then fully K3. This is why we're asking for the opportunity to expand to K3, but to have flexibility in terms of what's the best way to get there. And obviously, we would want to communicate that well in advance to the Blytheville School District. We can circle back to that. I'm sure there'll be a few questions there. Just in terms of achievement data, I think we're doing okay. I'd like to do better, but as you can see from the next couple slides, we are consistently outperforming the Blytheville School District, and obviously our demographics are most closely matched to the Blytheville School District in terms of poverty, in terms of race, and just in terms of the population. We're pulling most of our students in that area from the Blytheville School District. So you can see the comparisons at the district level, with outperforming them in everything with the exception of writing. And you can also see school by school, although it's not apples to apples, we consistently outperform them. Couple other highlights beyond just the test scores. We're really proud this year. You can see this is what this is a picture of a mural design that our students drew up, and they were selected across all the KIPP schools, 200 across the country, to go to Las Vegas and do this mural actually the first week in August. So it's a really cool experience. They're going to go and paint this gigantic mural, and again, they competed against students from 200 schools across the KIPP network, and this was the mural design that was chosen. So beyond the academic stuff, there's some really exciting things happening in Blytheville. And one other exciting bit of news from Blytheville, here's one of our juniors who actually has our first 36 perfect ACT score. So we're really proud of that accomplishment. Getting back to sort of the design, currently we had the opportunity to purchase a school building from the Blytheville School District a couple of years ago. We renovated part of it, about 63,000 square feet. We renovated part of it, the part that is not circled. The part that is circled has not been renovated yet, so that's additional space that would allow us to have a media center, additional classrooms for this expansion, and that makes more sense than us just building new buildings. And obviously, like I said, we purchased that from Blytheville School District. It was a building they weren't using or were no longer going to use, so it's a good use of resources in the community. In order to, and you can just, these are just some more close-ups, and then the campus location. In order to do that, there's a couple other pieces on the financial end. We're actually seeking approval for $10.6 million in loans through new market tax credits. That's why we're here earlier than usual. Usually we'd come in October or February asking for those expansions of grades. But given this incredible opportunity, this deal will allow us to fully renovate the central campus and then construct construction for a multi-purpose campus on our 712. It's all modular, as we'd like to put in a gymnasium or stage, just some permanent facility. And so combined with a USDA loan, and I'll try to break this down a little bit. You have a letter in front of you which explains it pretty well. So I actually can point you to that right now. Ms. Boyd passed this out. It's probably the best explanation. Now I can read the first couple paragraphs. We're seeking to approve $10.6 million in loans through new market tax credits. In order to do this, it's a partnership through Hope Enterprise Corporation, which will have a 99-year lease with the KIPP Delta Development Organization. For this deal. Next paragraph, these loans and real estate transactions will allow KIPP Delta's Blytheville, Arkansas campus to be fully renovated for the construction of a hardened multi-purpose building on its high school campus. The renovations at Central, our elementary campus, will allow KIPP Delta to serve students in grades kindergarten through 6th. So those are the big pieces there. If you skip down to the third paragraph, in 2016, the United States Department of Agriculture awarded KIPP Delta community facilities loan obligation in the amount of nearly $10 million for a term of 40 years at a fixed interest rate of 2.75%. So we thought we couldn't get any better than that. 2.75% over 40 years is pretty fantastic. However, when you mix this with a new market tax credit opportunity, and if you go down to the last paragraph on that page, you can see the benefits to KIPP Delta and the students are pretty incredible. We expect to save an additional $3.7 million in debt service payments over the period, utilizing the new market tax credit program in conjunction with the USDA loan. So just to put this all in perspective, if we were to go to a traditional bank at a 6% loan, we're actually saving close to $10 million just through the USDA deal over 40 years. When you add the new market tax credit in, there's an additional savings of $3.7 million. So this is an opportunity that came to us, and partly because of that opportunity and because we wanted to expand, we said this is a great time to take advantage of it and build out our Blytheville campus to make sure we have the capacity to serve K-12 at a very reasonable rate, which means that less of our money will go into facilities and more of our money will go into students and programming. I know that's a high-level summary. We did submit this for approval through the commissioner. It was approved, as you can see on the next page. So that approval has been taken care of. And obviously, to take advantage of this opportunity, we are seeking approval from the board to have permission to expand to those grades K3. We sort of walked through this page already with a new market tax credit program overview and how it works. Although it's very technical, so I won't bore you with all of that unless there are specific questions, and I'll do my best to answer all of those. So I think in summary, what the big plan is, we have 2 campuses in Blytheville. We'd like the elementary campus to serve K6. We'd like the high school campus to serve 7-12. We have a plan to utilize USDA and new market tax credit, so we have proper facilities for our students. Our academic scores are okay. We can get better. We're still outperforming, again, our peers. But I think this opportunity will allow us to do better on many fronts by giving our kids a stable home. And again, I think just to be clear, the flexibility we're requesting is that you give us permission to expand to K3, except grant us a little bit of flexibility in terms of how we phase in over the next 2 to 3 years, with the condition that we communicate to the Blytheville School District in an appropriate amount of time. In other words, if we're doing K1 next year, let them know in March that we're doing K1. If we end up, because of leadership, having to, or because of great leadership, if we're going to do K3 all at once, let them know, or just do 3rd grade. Depends on leadership. Again, we're here a little earlier than expected, so we could get the new market tax credit deal passed through. So that was a mouthful, and I'll pause for questions and we can dive in deeper on any areas. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today.
Thank you, Mr. Sides. Ms. Davis, is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Mr. Sides, do you have any final words before we begin questions and answers?
No. Thank you.
All right. Panel? Mr. Saunders?
Yeah, could you, I wasn't real clear, so on the expansion on the grades, that's not determined how that would look yet? Did I understand that correctly? And you would determine that internally later?
Can we, yes, so currently actually I'll show you on this. So currently in this building, I don't know if you can see the laser, with the parts that aren't blue, we take advantage of for our 4-6. We have 1 leader in that building with 4-6. We are currently looking for an exceptional school leader who will help us grow down or complete that. So depending on strength of leadership, we want to phase in appropriately. And so that might look like expanding down to 3rd grade, and it might make more sense to add K1 and build back up. Well, I don't have that full plan yet because I don't have the leader hired yet. But we do know that over the next 2 to 3 years, we want to make sure we renovate that building and add K3 so we can complete the elementary model.
Okay.
Does that give you enough clarity?
I think so.
Other questions?
I did have one other one.
Go ahead, Dr. Saunders.
Just curious, do you know the, say, retention rate, and I don't mean retention in the form that we use it, but how many of your students, after their first year of enrollment, come back the second year?
Typically, we have about, across the network, 85% students returning. When you take out students who moved away from the community, we usually cut that in about a half by a third. So in other words, over 90% of the students who were with us and continue to live in the area choose to return to KIPP Delta the subsequent year. Blytheville, a year ago, had numbers that were well below our KIPP Delta average. It's something we worked incredibly hard on this year, and our attrition rates were significantly cut in Blytheville. The high water mark for us is our elementary school in Helena, which at the end of the year we had 2.9% attrition, which is pretty low. And so there's a lot we can learn and bring that to Blytheville.
And I do want to point out, looking at your student performance numbers, looks like you're doing a great job, and just want to commend you on that.
Thank you.
Ms. Davis, do you have any issues to bring before us? No. Any additional questions? Then I'll accept a motion. Dr. Saunders, do you have more questions you want to discuss?
I'm just, I guess I'm just a little uneasy on how the rollout, on the expansion, how it will look, if it'll include if it'll be.
If I could suggest, I would be comfortable with an imposed deadline to say if we could get permission to go K3 with the notification of how we're going to phase that in to be delivered in to the Blytheville School District by whatever it is, March 31st, whatever is a reasonable time period, and we can put that in writing, because it is important. We want to make sure and I think this is why this process exists, that we're fair and transparent, and they have time to plan as well. The other thing I want to point out, we've done a lot of demographic studies on this. So when we increase our cap from 810 to 1,110, when we look at kids in Mississippi County and we run buses across the area, there's a student population of about 5,000 students. It's larger than our Helena communities and Forest City communities. So that 1,110 would just put us over about 20% of students, and we think that's pretty reasonable. We believe in choice, and we want to make sure that that school districts obviously have the opportunity to perform. We're not trying to monopolize anything, just provide choice. So again, I think that total enrollment cap would just be about 20% of the area.
When do you begin your application process?
We typically will start recruiting in January. We've had our lottery in April.
So by sometime early March, mid-March, you would kind of have an idea of how many students would be applying?
Yes, we could send a letter and say, it looks like, I can imagine one of two scenarios, because the way they're structured, we have a lot of requests for third grade, so it might be the most logical thing that our 4-6 school is great, they've got great capacity, let's roll them down to 3. We notify Blytheville School District by March, we're adding third grade as we phase into K3. It might also make sense that we found an incredible elementary leader who has the right background, who's been trained over the course of the year with us, and we want to go K1 and roll up. And again, we would notify the Blytheville School District and say we're recruiting K1 and opening K1 this year. So again, flexibility on how we get there. I think it's important to let them know we plan to go K3 and just communicate transparently how we'll phase in.
So just to clarify, so a notification would be given to the local district by March 31st.
And I'd like to put the parameters in writings to help the accountability on that. So it's not just my word, but as Ms. Davis said, make sure we put that as part of the agreement.
So as a superintendent, if you were to get that letter by March 31st that indicated the potential number of students
and grades,
then that would help you to make staffing decisions within the timeline. Okay. Any other questions for clarification? Mr. Rogers?
Is there an expiration time for the tax credits that you're applying for? Are they set to expire?
Yes. I don't have that specific date, but I think we were trying to, do you know the date off the top of the head? What's that? Before the end of the calendar year,
Which is why you're,
which is why we're here, which is why we had to do this request off schedule.
Ms. Davis?
So I have that notification by March 31st to the Blytheville School District. I'd also request that that notification be sent to the charter office as well, so that way we are aware of that plan. And I think there was a confusion. It was mentioned an enrollment cap of 1,110, but their paperwork had requested 1,100, so a difference of 10 students. I just want to make sure we're clear on which number that is.
I'm fine. What is in the official?
That's in the document.
1,100's fine.
Ms. Smith?
Okay, so when I'm looking at some of the documentation, I'm looking at it as a school district and then as an individual school. So Forest City, what grades does Forest City currently have?
Forest City would be serving grades 5, 7 this year. We have authorization to go to 5, 8.
Okay, and then Delta College Prep, that's K through 12.
We're all pre-K through 12.
Okay.
We actually serve about 22% of Phillips and Lee County. When combined, we're doing all the demographic analysis for each community we serve, so we can be thoughtful in our planning.
Okay, and so I guess I'm looking at the information here. So your maximum enrollment for Delta Public Schools total is 2,310. Is that all three schools combined?
That's
Is that
all
what that
three.
is?
That's all three communities combined.
Three combined, okay. And so we're asking specifically for the Blytheville one to add 200 additional spots.
From 810 to 1,100.
Mhm. And so that would then put the max enrollment, so we would be adding an additional 200 spots to this 2310 as well, correct? I mean, I'm just making sure I'm following.
Yeah, well, 290 spots, 290 spots. From the 810 to the 1,100 for the Blytheville community, which would increase the overall,
To 2,600.
yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? I'll accept a motion when you're ready.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
A motion has been made by Dr. Saunders, seconded by Mr. Rogers to approve the amendment request for KIPP Delta Public Schools. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank
Congratulations.
you all. Have a great day.
If you will wait just a moment, each member will respond. They have to put it in writing about their decision, and then they'll read those responses to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rogers, are you in? Dr. Pfeffer?
I voted in favor of the motion. I have no concerns. There's planned expansion with appropriate funding.
Mr. Rogers?
I voted for, thought it was a good opportunity to take advantage of the tax credits before they expire to allow them to offer additional choices to students.
Dr. Saunders?
I voted in favor, did not have any concerns.
And Ms. Smith?
I voted for, no concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Shirey.
Thank you all.
Are we ready to move on? Ms. Perry, action item number 2, request for open enrollment charter school amendment for the Excel Center. You're
Yes,
recognized.
ma'am. It's been brought to my attention that there is no amendment request for the Excel Center, but Mr. Brian Marsh, the interim president and CEO, would like to come and address the panel to give an update on their status.
Okay. Ms. Davis, if this is just a discussion, then no need to swear in, or,
Yeah, that would be correct.
and our timelines are,
Right, so I mean, if you decide at some point to take action on it, then, no, but if you're not taking any action because they're not requesting it, then you're good.
all right. Good morning, Mr. Marsh. If you'll state your name and title for the record.
Brian Marsh, interim president and CEO of Goodwill Industries of Arkansas. Good morning, Madam Chair and esteemed members of the panel. Would like to update the panel on the progress towards the adult high school known as the Excel Center at Goodwill. We are currently have been working through the construction of the classroom area that will be completed in August. We have hired 3 of the 12 members of the staff. We have identified 3 additional members that we anticipate offering positions within the next 10 days. We do have the need for a director. Our director has resigned, and we are in the process of interviewing and hiring another director. We are on track for opening and excited with both our training and our engagement of our board, the school board and the Goodwill board. And we just wanted to make ourselves, avail ourselves for any questions or concerns so that we can ensure that, that the panel understands where we are and how things are progressing.
Panel, any questions?
Just a comment. I'm actually looking forward to this actually getting off the ground. I think that when we think about charters and what they should be innovative, they should be different, and this is. And it's also meeting a population in our state that we currently do not meet their needs. And if we're going to look at taking people who have dropped out or for whatever reason haven't been successful in the actual K-12 system, once they're over 21 and they're looking for that degree, that's a high school degree, I think this is something that can make a difference for a lot of families in Arkansas. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing this come to fruition.
We're very excited. We've had 130 individuals express interest and 44 already complete applications.
Excellent.
Well, and just again, I want to note that this is not taking away funding from public school fund in any way, because they had the grant backing, and so I think this is a great opportunity.
Our Goodwill board has pledged support for the 3 years that our charter is active, and in support, they've pledged over $1.25 million a year to support the school.
Excellent. Dr. Saunders?
And I want to muddy the waters just a little bit here, just for an explanation. So, met with them this morning concerning the possible amendment on school year dates, and it's kind of ran into some issues, and it was not that a student cannot enroll after a certain time. It would not inhibit that, but issue with trying to start if you would, a reporting cycle after other reporting cycles have occurred. For example, we still need to collect cycle 1, we still need to collect cycle 2 for federal and state reasons at those times, by those deadlines. So that, there's not a mechanism in place to be able to say October 1 numbers to report October 1 numbers in December, if is a simple version. And so we discussed what the issues were. So basically the idea was didn't necessarily need that waiver, but would continue to do all the reporting requirements that we have and report them as they are throughout the year on the different cycle reports. So whatever that case may be. And it's really a first-year thing, but that way it did not stop them from being able to move forward, is why that.
Thank you. Dr. Pfeffer?
And what is your planned opening date?
Planned opening date is October 16th. Classes start.
Classes start. Okay. We look forward to visiting when we have opportunities.
Excellent.
Thank you.
You're all welcome to come out and visit the facility, and we'd love to take you on a tour.
See it.
We accept.
Wonderful.
I think, as you've heard, we're all very excited. As with any school or school district in our state, if you need us, we're right here. Feel free to call us. Any of us, we're more than happy to serve, support in any way that we can so that you're successful.
Wonderful. We have a very good working relationship with Ms. Boyd and her department, and feel very comfortable in moving forward, so no issues.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
for coming today. We appreciate having that update.
Wonderful.
Ms. Boyd?
That's all we have for today, Madam Chair.
Is there any other issue before us today, Ms. Davis? Panel members, do you have anything else? I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Dr. Saunders, seconded by Dr. Pfeffer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.